The Power Moms Network, empowering moms to lift the world.
Welcome. I'm Riley Karsh.
I'm Tova Kopan.
We are thrilled to bring you the We Go Boldly podcast.
Let's talk big burning questions, life changes, and maybe a bit of personal business.
Let's be bold and brave together. Are you ready?
I am. Here comes the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Go Boldly, the podcast where we celebrate women stepping into their power and living their most authentic lives. We are also thrilled to be a part of the Power Moms Network. At Power Moms Network, we are empowering moms and creating a community of mothers mentoring other moms to greatness. Check it out. It's a very cool place to be. There's a website you can go to and you can sign up to become a member at any time. We would love to see you there. In addition, just to remind everyone, we have our weekly women's circle. We meet every week. We talk about all kinds of things. Sometimes we vent. Sometimes we work on our personal development. Sometimes we talk about our kids. Sometimes we talk about our pets. We talk about all kinds of things. Everyone is welcome to join. We would love for you to check it out. You can find out more information at goboldlyinitiative.com/weekly circle and sign up right there on the website. So we would love to have you join us. And I've said all of that. Now, let me just say it's interview day. It's always interview day in season 12, which makes me very excited. And we have a wonderful guest for you all today. Before we get into that, I'm going to say hello to my co-pilot here, Tova, and get her on the show. How are you doing, Tova? It's finally not raining where we are, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's not raining. It's cold.
Yeah.
But it is not raining, so that is exciting. I'm good. I renewed my passport this morning, which has, I know, it's only been on my to-do list. Well, the passport has been expired for over 5 years, so that's how long it's been on my to-do list. And probably
Yeah.
a year before that, because I could see it coming. So I'm pretty excited about checking that off my list. I feel
Mhm.
quite empowered. So I don't know what other frogs I can eat today, but I'm excited.
It was very exciting. We just renewed the kids' passports, and it was incredibly satisfying to get those in the mail. It felt like I had really, really done something like
Yeah,
significant.
and I'm really excited to get our guest, but I have to say, like, everywhere you look, there's like a different number of copies that you need. Like, no one's consistent. It's like, okay, you need this number of copies of this and this number of copies of
Oh,
this. And
yeah.
then I got there and she's like, okay, we don't need that. We don't need that. And I'm like, but
I just
I literally just made that copy.
I just bring all my personal identification with me, and I'm like, here, you figure it out.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of figuring it out, it is season 12, as you guys know. We're talking about self-authorship, how to, direct your own future in a way that is meaningful, purposeful, and unique to you and who you are. So it's been a fascinating season so far. As you all know, we've had a lot of guests on the show talking about their personal journeys and their stories and how they are writing their own futures. And today is no different. We have an amazing guest for you all today. We are talking with Alicia Dupree. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. Alicia, I forgot to ask you in the beginning. But Alicia is a mom of three with a background in corporate leadership. She spent 10 years building and developing high performance sales teams in the tech staffing world. But in 2018, she traded boardrooms for a bigger purpose, helping women take control of their health, habits, and lives. What started as fitness coaching quickly evolved into something deeper, leading her to embrace her true calling as a consistency coach. Now she helps women finally hit the goals they've been talking about for years through simple, effective frameworks, habit building strategies, and the kind of accountability that actually sticks. She is the creator of the Busy Women's Blueprint, a no fluff guide for women ready to stop surviving and start thriving. When she's not coaching or creating content, you'll find her dancing to 90s jams, spending quality time with her family, or happily letting her chef husband handle dinner because she knows her strength in cooking is far from one. I feel that. Welcome to the show, Alicia. We're thrilled to have you join us today.
So happy to be here. Thank you for creating space for me to join you guys today.
Yeah, we listen, we're thrilled to have you. We think your background is fascinating and we're so excited to share that with our audience and get them, sort of on board with what you're doing, but also, share a bit about your life and your journey so far. I think I've said it a million times on the show and in my own life, but you really can't be the things you can't see. It's very hard to be original, right? Like, and so to see somebody out there doing something and sharing their story and their journey really helps other people step into their own power. So we're thrilled that you're willing to talk with us and share your path to your path to success and how you've gotten where you are. So
Sure.
I am stumbling all over my words today. So I'm going to turn it over to
All good.
Tova to ask a question because like it's just words are not happening.
So we always like to start with something that's not at all easy question. And so our first question for you would be, how did you develop a vision for your future? Is it something that you always kind of had an innate sense of, or is it something that evolved over time?
Well, I would say it's probably a little bit of both. And what I mean by that, I am very fortunate to have two incredible parents that have always encouraged me to try things and fail, right? They never said, "Oh, don't do that. You probably won't make it." Even if they knew in their gut, wow, like there's no chance that she's going to make this, they let me try. And oftentimes their predictions were true, but some cases I surprised them and surprised myself. And I never felt afraid of going for it. And I know that is not common. And so I do believe that that piece was there pretty early, right? Um, Having said that, without, seeing some successes along the way, that probably wouldn't have remained if I felt like all I was doing was getting beat up. And so I think for me, I've always tried to balance, okay, what would my future self want me to be doing today? Sometimes that future self is like just 5 o'clock me, right? Sometimes it's like, I just have to get through the day. And if I do this, this, and this, like it'll be a win. But I also know, like probably everyone listening to this, the two of you as well, it is wild just how fast time goes. And every year seems to be getting faster. And it's funny, I asked my dad, I said, "Isn't it crazy? Like this year seems so much faster." He's like, "Well, it is." And I'm like, "Well, it's not, 365 days." He's like, "Yes, but relative to your life, it's a third when you're three, it's a 50th when you're 50. So yes, it does feel like it goes so fast." And I just turned 43 last week. And I really do feel like my 40s is when I am going to fully step into the version of me that I have been working on, either consciously or subconsciously, for a long time. Because I think every role that I've had, whether it's been in corporate America, even in my friend groups, right, I find like what I'm doing and where I feel most comfortable and most fulfilled is in some sort of leadership role where I'm helping people feel better. And most often it's women. Most often it's really busy women. Most often it's really busy moms that feel like they are like your passport's been on your to-do list for 5 years, right? Or six, you said. Um, there are women that I work with that their own well-being has been on their to-do list for decades. And the season of life that at least I'm in is it's incredibly chaotic and it's incredibly fleeting. And it's going to be the good old days that I reference years from now. And so I really want to help women try to navigate it without losing themselves, but also enjoy it, which is not always easy. So I do think some of it was always there, but some of it just continues to get reinforced as I step into new opportunities.
I want to highlight something you just said because it's something I've been thinking about a lot too. And really, I think I struggle with because of the things you're talking about, the busyness of this time of life, right? The like and like today alone, I've lived 4 days.
Yep.
And but what you said was like enjoying it, right? So yeah, you want to get through it and you want to accomplish whatever you want to accomplish and check off your
Yeah.
to-do list and all those things. But you have to enjoy it along the way, or you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wait, what happened? I missed it all. And so we talk about this a lot on the show and in the circle, and that is like finding joy in like in pockets, right? Finding the joy in the moments and making sure that it's not just checking off boxes,
Yeah.
and it's not, you know, running from one kid drop off to the next. I mean, sometimes it has to be, right? But like finding ways to enjoy that along the way. And talk to us a little bit about that. Like how do you make sure you're enjoying the ride that you're on? How does
Yeah.
that play into your life?
Well, yeah, I mean, make no mistake, like I find no joy in a lot of the things I have to do every day.
Yep.
I mentioned I hate cooking. I am bad at it. I feel like it takes time. It frustrates me. I don't like doing things I'm not good at, and I am not good at cooking and probably will never be the best chef in my house, which is actually wonderful for me most of the time. But when my husband's traveling or not home, and like we obviously eat, we survive, right? But I don't ever find joy in cooking like he does. He unwinds by cooking. I am like, that's the last thing I want to do. Having said that, I try to go, okay, like, how amazing is it that I have this time with my kids while they're in the kitchen finishing up or barely finishing in some cases the average meal that I've prepared, right? It's like trying to reframe situations more, but I'm also not naive to like to expect that every day is going to be full of joy. I mean, there's a ton of coaches that I listen to, and one of them talks a lot about like you can't understand happiness unless there's this opposite, right? And so there are plenty of times in my day that I am just getting through a task that's necessary, but that's where I am passionate about. If you're not filling some of your time with energy filling, soul filling activities, not all day, right? And listen, some days you can barely get it in, right? But if you can just do something, you'll go to bed that night not feeling like it was a total like cup emptying, energy draining day. You're going to be tired either way. I just want to be tired and exhausted with a little bit of that exhaustion that went towards something that's important to me, not my kids, not my husband, not my clients, not my house, me. So that's probably how I manage it. But again, it's very much a work in progress, and I don't believe in a balanced to me it's a balancing act. It's different every day, right? And so that's where if I know the pendulum is swinging a little too far this way, I have to do a check-in with myself and go, okay, like I need to carve out time for a walk. Maybe it's 15 minutes, or maybe it's in between soccer drop-offs. Instead of rushing to the next thing and like sneaking in a return at Target, or an Amazon shipment at a UPS store, it's like, I'm just going to sit here and like chill for 10 minutes, or I'm going to call a friend that I've been trying to catch up with, because that little act, even leaving a message, feels like I've moved the needle a little bit on a personal um, task or goal that I've had sometimes for quite some time.
Is that something that was modeled for you? So, like going backwards, like you talked about how your parents encouraged you to be comfortable with failure, but was keeping some of this a priority, and yourself a priority, something that was modeled for you? Or was it something that I don't want to like put anyone on blast and be like, you learned from stuff that your parents didn't do, but I think all of us kind of learn either from things that our parents did and then we want to like expand on it, or we learn from what our parents don't do and
Yeah.
then we want to tweak it. What was your kind of situation?
Yeah. So I would say that my parents, and I would talk about them differently, but if I'm looking at my female role model as my mom, who's one of my best friends to date, I didn't see her do a lot of girls' nights or girls' weekends. She did go away. Her and my dad always went away for a week. My grandmother always watched us at one point for a week, and we always went away as a family for at least a week. And there were little trips occasionally. So I always knew my parents made time for each other. So I had that modeled from a personal standpoint. My dad, um, was a dentist, and he owned his own practice, and he purposely didn't build this massive practice so that he could get to all the things after school. And so he was a super present dad. I'm the oldest of four kids. And so my mom didn't, she worked as a dental hygienist. It's a cute, like, dental love story. But my mom worked, but always around us. So one night a week she wasn't around, but that was fun because that was time with my dad. Otherwise, she was pretty present all the time. And I think it was probably more my dad, though, that modeled personal and professional development from a young age. So like he sent me to this 3-day course in Philadelphia, which is I'm from the Philadelphia area, and it was like a 3-day course for teens to set goals and achieve them and learn how to interview, like for a job. I'm talking like a job at a fast food place, right? Like when you're 16. My dad also sent me to a leadership course, which ironically is where I met my husband when I was 16. And people are like, wait, what is that? Like it's some weird camp. I'm like, no, it was literally just a high school, college age version of this personal development course that my dad and other dentists went to. And so I've always had permission, I guess, to do self-evaluation and try to expand my emotional vocabulary. So if it's how are you? Fine. Well, I mean, I didn't make this up, but I say all the time that fine is a 4-letter word. I think Mel Robbins talks about that. I've heard it a couple times. Like I try not to say I'm fine because I'm more evolved than that. Like what is it? Am I amazing? Am I frustrated? And so I think I did a lot of check-in with myself early, and sometimes I was like, you know what? I just need to go out with a friend, or I just need to go on a date with my boyfriend or my husband, or I'm working too much, or I'm not working enough and feeling unfulfilled professionally. So I think there was some modeling of it, but again, more of it was the permission and encouragement to explore what's going
Yeah.
on with me. And so I think that that's probably where it stemmed from more than, watching my mom do all these things or watching my dad do all these things. So
I want to highlight something you said, and then I know we need to take a break. And Riley, I can see you have lots of questions, but I love that you use the word permission because I think, and we haven't used that word a lot when we've talked about these things, but I think that's what a lot of people either need to give themselves or haven't had or don't think about, like when they're struggling with like, oh, I just need to find the time, or I want to do this but I just can't do that. And maybe what it is they actually need to give themselves the
yeah,
permission to do that there's something blocking themselves. And what it is like either, yeah, and this could be a whole limiting beliefs conversation, but really on a most basic level, it's someone never said you have the permission to do this,
yeah.
that you're allowed, that this is an okay thing for you to do. And I've just never really thought of it with that word. But we should take a quick break. And then, Riley, you can ask, I don't know, I can see lots of questions on your face. So we'll be right back.
Well, hello there, ladies. Are you ready to elevate your life and connect with like-minded souls? Join us every week at the Go Boldly Together weekly Women's Circle, where strength meets sisterhood. Dive into empowering discussions, share your victories, and navigate challenges together. Our circle is a safe space for growth and inspiration. Experience the power of collective wisdom and unleash your full potential. Don't miss out on the transformative energy. Click the link in our show notes or visit us at goboldlyinitiative.com/women's weekly group to learn more about our Go Boldly Circle today. Together, let's embrace the journey of personal development and let's celebrate that unstoppable force within each of us.
Okay. So welcome back. And I will turn it to you, Riley.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that conversation the idea. I had a coach. I don't know if it was a nutrition coach or a life. I can't remember. It was a coach, and she, instead of talking about permission, which I think is great and works for people who are motivated in that way, she asked me like, why didn't I think I was worth the 5 minutes? Right? Like she framed it as a worthiness question, which I
Yeah.
think is useful to people when it's like snapped out at them in the sense of like it was like an aha moment for me. If you said it to me now, I'd be like, I am worth it. I just don't have that time.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it was very useful tool to be like, oh, wait, of course I'm worth 10 minutes of like, I don't know, food logging or whatever I was trying
Yeah.
to do. Um,
Well, on that topic, real quick, because I actually use that word permission a ton, and I do talk about self-worth because so many women are challenged with that. They don't feel like they're worth the 5 minutes. And I get triggered by, and I always call people out on this. So this is real life coaching right now, Riley, about I don't have the time. Like, of course you have the time. You're
Yeah.
just choosing to spend it differently, right? And so that's what I ask people to say to themselves is when they say, I don't have the time to whatever, to food log for 5 minutes or take a walk for 10 minutes or whatever it is, I have them add because it's not that important to me
Yeah.
afterwards. And so it may not be important for you to food log right now in whatever season you're in, or it may not be important that day to, to call a friend or take the walk. So just as long as you're being, viciously honest with yourself to say like, this is why I'm not doing it. Or to Tova's point, like there's a blocker there, something's going on that I don't know why I won't just do this. Something's there. Let's unpack it. And I'm not a therapist, but I encourage. I'm like, listen, this is where my coaching ends, but I'm going to encourage you to go talk to somebody to figure out why you feel like you can't go on a, girls' weekend. Like, what is that, And yes, there's limitations, of course, time and money and childcare and, person, like I'm not naive to the fact that it's challenging to do certain things more than others. But if you want to make it happen, like, let's find a way to make it happen. So that's just one piece I wanted to add because the permission, like that's what I try to encourage women to this mom guilt phrase I hate so much. I said, like, mom guilt, like, you want your kids, like, what if your kid came to you, your daughter, if you have a daughter, and said, well, I can't do these things anymore because I'm a mom? It's like, I'm a mother to a daughter, and I'd be like, no, are you kidding me? Like, go do that thing, go chase that goal. But at some point, as we grow, we lose that a little bit. And so that's what I encourage women to bring back.
Well,
So
and oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do like just something you said was it is okay to say, I can't like be, like you said, viciously honest with yourself and say, I don't have those it's not that I don't have those 5 minutes. It's that it's not a priority to me right now. And maybe it isn't a priority because you're prioritizing getting your kids to soccer, doing this and doing that. And you know what? It isn't the season to right now to make it a priority
Yeah,
and like move it off your like move it off your guilt, like move it off your plate. Like maybe it is like because what I tend to do is to have too much and being like, I'm just not making it a priority. I'm not doing this. I should be doing better. And the fact is that like I genuinely don't have the time. And could I make the time? Yeah, if I cut out other things.
right.
But like, yeah, I don't have the time because I'm not making it a priority because I'm prioritizing other things
Which
that
is
need to
great.
be right, that need to be that I've decided need to be
Yeah,
prioritized. And so is freeing is saying, "Hey, I'm not prioritizing that." And that's okay. So let's take it off the to-do list. So every day I don't look at it and feel like I'm failing somehow, which
correct.
I think
That
so,
piece. Yeah.
right? So many of us just stop at the point where we're like, well, I'm not prioritizing it. And that means I failed at my food plan.
Yeah, and all you're doing is focusing on failing on the food plan when you might be crushing these other areas or making drastic improvement in areas that are of importance to you. I think it's fair to have a little side plate, right? So you have this like master plate with all the things, and again, sometimes it's filled with one or two super overwhelming things that to anyone else might not be a big deal, but for you and what you're carrying it might take up the whole plate, right? But what I want people to do is have these check-ins with that side plate, not to feel guilty, not to feel shame or failure for not prioritizing them, but not to lose sight of them so much that they become that thing that you wanted to do back then. Because at some point, if it was on your heart and important to you, I do believe that it's there for a reason. And if you don't ever revisit it, you might feel there like there's a void or a gap somewhere that you may not be able to identify because it's been so long since you had that thing. But when you revisit it, it might look different. It might have evolved. The level of importance which you initially gave it might have diminished. Maybe it increases. So that's like, you're absolutely right. I hate when women feel the shame for not doing more or doing enough or doing all the things, right? You can't, certainly not all at the same time. So I think that that's part of the permission too, is like, okay, what is most important to you? What is most urgent? Let's focus there, but don't lose sight of those other things that you did deem important, but non-urgent at one point.
So let's talk about that in a little more depth. Like, how do you make decisions about kind of the direction you're going to go in? Not just like day-to-day life
Yeah.
decisions, but like, how are you making choices? How are you, if you have to make a hard decision about, one way or the other, what's your sort of touchstone? How are you getting to those sort of end results?
Well, I think the term vision and your why, you hear that all the time. And I think it's a little cheesy and it's a little overused, but I also think it should be your own North Star in terms of how you're making decisions. And not every decision is connected to your vision, of course, or your goals, but I do think it's important. Like I review my vision every morning. It's silent, it's quick, it's written down. I review it just as that like touch point. And there are plenty of days where I don't do anything that is aligned to a vision. But when I got asked to be a guest on this was a no-brainer because this is in line with the type of clients I serve and what lights me up and where I feel like I can add value. And so this is a no-brainer. But if I got a call to maybe volunteer at the kids' school and looking at my plate, like I might have to say no to that, even though I love that I have the flexibility and I worked hard to have the flexibility to be able to say yes. Sometimes it's a no, right? If it's not a hell yes, then it's a no for me. And that's hard because I do like to say yes. I do like to go after big things, but I've learned that when I get a lot on my plate, I feel kind of off kilter a little bit. I feel misaligned. So I think having some sort of vision, it doesn't need to be this fancy, beautiful, like calligraphy, just like a North Star for you to say, here's what I want my life to look like. Is what I'm doing, or is most of what I'm doing and how I am as a wife, a mom, an employee, a team member, a person, a daughter, like a friend, am I doing more things that align with that version of myself than with, than not? And I think that that has helped me keep in the general direction of where I want to go. Of course, it's not perfect and there's detours and there's speed bumps, but I think that's been the most helpful. One thing I do with my clients, and I'm happy to share this PDF in if you have show notes or a
Mhm.
way to extend it, but I have this wellness wheel, and I've seen a couple different versions of this. There are 8 areas of wellness that I focus on. And what I have women do when I work with them is just this assessment. Like, where are you in each of these areas? Financial wellness, physical wellness, emotional wellness, professional wellness. Where are you at 1 to 10? Okay. And I don't let people use 7 because I think 7 is a safe number because 7 makes you go, am I a 6 or am I an 8? And
Yeah.
there's a difference there, right? And then I want people to identify, okay, which of the areas not necessarily are the lowest, but are the most important to you right now. Because to Tova's point earlier, it's like, well, maybe for me, intellectual wellness is not top of, priority for me. And maybe I don't feel great there, but I'm a 4, and 4 is like totally good enough for me right now, right? But if I'm a 4 in my marriage, that's not good for me because that's going to affect a lot of other areas of my overall well-being. So I might even be a 5 or 6 in marriage. It's a higher score, but it's weighing on me much more than, a lack of international, I'm sorry, intellectual wellness or, professional growth. Like, so that's the type of check-in that I ask you to look at is like, let's get specific with where you're feeling off. And then what are some small actions or habits you can take in that particular category to feel like you're making progress? Because that's where I think people start feeling better is if they're actually pouring into the areas where they feel like not only they have a gap, but it's an urgent gap that they need to fill. So that's what's also helped me kind of stay the course is when I'm feeling off or feeling like I don't even know what I'm feeling, but something's off. I usually do a check-in with where I feel off, and then I know what I can do to, improve that.
I want to just take a hard right or left, I'm not sure which, and just say, okay, so this is where we are now. You have this wellness wheel. It sounds awesome. And you were up until it sounds like 2018 working in corporate America.
Yeah.
So how did we get from there to here? Like I know, and just like full like transparency, one of the many things that you do is make t-shirts. I could wear a t-shirt that you've made every day of the week. Like
You should have like a buy seven, get one free card by now. So I owe you a t-shirt,
I
totally.
just buy your t-shirts. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, I need this t-shirt. Can you make it? You're like, yes, I can. Fantastic. Um, but like you do so many things, and I would love to know, especially for people, because it's a little bit what we're talking about. I mean, so much of what you said, I think is impactful for people on a higher level, but like on the very like kind of how did you get from A to I don't
Yeah.
know, L or M, wherever we are right now in your story. C, who knows?
I'm
Like
not
how
even
did
sure what letter we're on,
yeah, I don't
but
know what
we're
letter
going
we're
through
on.
the alphabet. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
how
think
did we get here?
so. First of all, it's not as simple as like, I'm just going to quit this job and start coaching people, right? I started thinking about some earlier questions is what I'm doing every day at my office, commuting into New York City with a breast pump and a freezer bag because I had an infant and a toddler, and my husband traveled, and I had amazing babysitters and still have amazing babysitters. And my kids went to a great daycare. And I really was navigating a lot because I was feeling fulfilled with my day to day. It was worth it for me to have a babysitter drive my kids to daycare in the morning so I could make my 8 a.m. meeting in New York City. And it was worth it to only really see my kids from 5:30 to 7 or from 6:30 to 7, or sometimes not at all because I had a work dinner and someone else put them to bed. Like it was worth it until it wasn't. And what I mean by that, so I had my last company was I was blessed with so many fantastic leaders until I wasn't. My last boss, unfortunately, was very unsupportive to me doing anything but like bleeding, our brand colors. And I was there were 100 people in my position at a director level in the company, and 12 were women. And half of the women had a stay-at-home spouse and or a nanny. And I didn't. I had a husband who travels and still travels a lot. I had daycare. I was living at one point, I ran our Long Island office, which is where my oldest son was born. I had no family out there. So when, the daycare called and my kid was sick, I had to take care of them, right? So there was just a disconnect between the type of mom I wanted to be and the type of leader I wanted to be. And once I found it impossible to show up the way I wanted at home, I realized that I needed some other option. And up until the day I left, I loved my job. I loved my team. I loved the people that I worked with. I just happened to not have a great supportive leader. And I knew that I wanted to be more evolved than that. I'm a big believer in multiple streams of income for everybody for many different reasons. And I think having multiple streams of income from little side things I was doing and little projects I was finding time again because it was a priority for me because I knew not I wasn't using any work hours at all to build something on the side, but I was swapping TV at night for, pouring into a business so that when I did made the shift, and by the way, I still have not replaced my income that I left there, but I am so much more fulfilled. I do feel like I have a professional side of me that's super important to me. And I'm able to pick my kids up at 3:05 when they're out of school every day. And to me, that balance has justified whatever money I've left on the table. And I do believe that I'm like at a point where the more people I help, the more women that I can work with, I'll be able to replace that income and also impact way more than I ever could being in that office in Long Island or being in that office in New York City. So I just had to, again, those check-ins, like, is this working? And okay, it's not working, but I can't be irresponsible, as a family member, with income for my household and two little kids at home. And so that was in 2018 was when I officially left, but I had been thinking about it probably 6 months prior and felt fortunate that I had already been doing some other work, not with the intention to leave, but because I felt a connection to helping women and I was doing that outside of the office. And so that's where that transition. And the t-shirts, I mean, that is not, I didn't even talk about the t-shirts in my bio. Like that to me is a creative outlet and it's fun and they're super soft and my kids wanted soft shirts. And so I'm like, let me just buy a heat press and see about this. And that was that was during COVID. And so now it's actually become, one of the things I do. Yes, I owe you a shirt, Tova. So after this, and Riley, I'll have to send you one too, because
Sure,
now she's like, what are
absolutely.
these shirts? Yeah.
No,
Well,
no,
we're-
I've
we're
seen
all-
them. I know all about the
They're
shirts.
cotton shirts, but
We're
they're
all
soft.
better off for your
Yes.
kids wanting soft shirts.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
absolutely. Let's talk about what kind of advice you would give to people out there who are maybe in that position you were in 2018, but they don't have a side business that they know they feel stuck. They feel
Yeah.
like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know who I am or any of those things. Like, what kind of starting point advice would you give to those folks?
Yeah. Well, I think that everyone has something they can do and offer if they really spend time thinking about, okay, what are my strengths? What are people always coming to me for? Like, what is something, again, going back to my lack of cooking, no one has ever come to me and said, hey, Alicia, is there a recipe that you really like to make your kids? And that, like, no one has asked me that ever once. Okay. But people have asked me questions like, hey, I'm trying to figure out a way to fit workouts in, or I know you don't cook. How do you assemble and piece together meals when your husband's out of town? Because I know that, right? Like, so I, there are things that people come to me or would come to you maybe and ask. There are things when you look at your day and you're like, what do I like doing the most? Like, is there a hobby that I really love? And I always joke, like, when people would be like, what are your hobbies? When I was working full time and keeping kids alive, I'm like, my hobbies, like, I don't have hobbies. I'm like in survival, right? But I really thought about, like, what do I like doing? What would I swap time with my kids for? What would I actually take time off of work to go to a conference for? And if it's gardening, or if it's in my case, like helping women with, getting unstuck, or if you're a great piano player and you can teach music lessons or develop a course. Like, the great news is right now, with the digital economy the way it is, and again, a free Canva account, like, you really can create these evergreen resources and these valuable tools for people that don't know how to do what you do as well as you do. And you don't have to be an expert. I don't actually have any certification from an online or, brick and mortar school to be a coach. I just figured it out a little sooner, and I'm honest of what I'm still figuring out, and that's enough for people. So I think sometimes we don't take the chance because we feel like we're like, who am I to give advice here? Who am I to help someone with that? Well, if you are doing something 10% better, or you've been doing it a little longer, you definitely have value to add to someone that needs to hear it. And so I think what keeps women stuck, and probably people, but again, I work with women only. So what keeps them stuck sometimes isn't, I don't know what to do. There's just a fear. There's just a lot of fear on making the call, and what will they think? And I don't know who they are, but they are usually someone you went to high school with that you forgot you were friends with on Facebook or Insta. Like, I don't, I can't let an opinion of someone else, which is none of my business, by the way. I can't let an opinion from someone else about me dictate what I do or don't do with my life, right? I mean, like, it makes so much sense. And again, you go back to, what would you tell your kid? If it's like, hey, mom, I really want to try this thing and I want to, like, see if I could do this. It's, well, you know what? One of your friends in class might think that's silly, so I wouldn't do it. Like, would you ever say that to your kid? No. Now, you might want to say, hey, listen, like, I think it's a good idea. Let's walk through what this could look like. And so I don't think women should be irresponsible, but if you are feeling like, okay, what I'm doing is probably not where I want to be for the long term, then I would look and say, okay, short term, what are some things I could be doing now? And there's a couple great books that I've read that I'm happy to, again, pass on information to learn how to do that. And in some cases, you don't have to leave your job. I'm not encouraging people to necessarily leave their job. For me, it made the most sense because there were life changes going on in our house and moving and a lot that just made it make sense. But I think there's plenty of companies and plenty of opportunities where you can work full time and still fulfill something that brings you joy and income on the side and still be incredibly kick ass at your day job. So, again, I'm not advocating that women go out there and leave their jobs necessarily, but I do think if there is a void in your overall feeling of well-being, if there's a financial gap, like let's find something that you can do to feel better there so you can show up better overall.
Well, and I think something that you said that's important to remember is like oftentimes we undersell things that are easy for us because they're easy
Yes.
for us. And so like I think a great way to test it is like, is this something that people come to me and ask me for? Because we are often the worst people to identify what are things that we're good at
Yeah,
because we're good at it. It's what we love. It's easy for us to do. And so we would never think that somebody would struggle with it or need help with it. Because like, why? It's so easy. It's so fun. Why would you need help with this? And
totally.
so thinking about what other people like, what is something that someone always texts you about or say, hey, do you have any, quick question or can you tell me what website to look at? Like, though, that's a great way to like trigger your mind into thinking like, what is something that might be something that I'm good at that I didn't
Yeah.
realize because the stuff it's easy because we're good at it and we don't
Yep.
remember. And just real fast, Paige Becker Booker, I should know how to say her name. Everyone says it differently, but she's one of the stars from the UConn basketball team, and she said something along the lines of not taking criticism from people that you wouldn't take advice from.
Mm.
And I
So
want to
true.
like paint that on all the walls of my house because
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
think it's like amazing. So
Yeah,
that like
nobody,
that
no,
high school
I'm so
person.
glad that you said that because I heard it a different way, but it's like I would never ask someone for directions that hasn't been to the place I'm trying to go. Like, why would I?
Right.
Yeah, same thing. It's right. I don't actually care what you think, not because I don't care about you as a person, but you're not where I want to be in this particular area of life that I'm trying to go. So respectfully, like, I'm cool that you feel this way, but I'm going to go talk to somebody because I've also heard that no one who is more successful than you at the thing you're trying to do would probably criticize your desire to get there. And in fact, they would probably willingly offer advice on how to get there faster or with less bumps and, injuries than they did. And that's so lovely to be able to pass on. I think that that's also one thing that you could do is if you're feeling bold enough is um, I have asked people in real life that I really trust. And I've asked people on social media, um, what am I known for? What's my brand? What do you think? And if you're in tune with yourself, you'll hear what people say, but you're also might be surprised. Like I actually was like, oh, people think that interesting. Like maybe there's an opportunity to serve my market or serve my clients in a better way. And so to your point, I think also, like asking other people, and then really listening to what they say and what themes keep coming up. Like, hey, what is something that if like you had a question about, my name would be the first one you'd think to call, right? So I'm glad that you brought that up as well.
Um, so I think I just want to add to that, I guess, and or comment, I guess. I think a lot of people prejudge themselves, right? And so we spend a lot of time, as you were saying, Tova, like assuming that whatever we're doing is easy for everyone. But we also prejudge the value of our I don't want to say work product because that's so corporate, but like the value of whatever it is we do in the world and the usefulness of it to other people, or the interest. I mean, we interviewed somebody who has a board game company. And like, I personally would never have thought that other people would do that, but like people love board games. So why not? And so instead of prejudging our ideas, I think like you're saying, Alicia, getting out there and asking people and talking to people about it is one way to combat that sort of, I think, especially for women, natural inclination to be like, oh, that's not valuable. That's not useful. People
Yeah.
aren't going to care about that. We talk ourselves down and talk ourselves out of things so often. Um, so I don't know if this is a big right turn or not, but I know we have to wrap up pretty soon. So I want to make sure we get a sense from you of sort of what impact you're hoping to leave with what the work that you're doing and the journey that you're on, and sort of like where do you see yourself going for the next few, I don't know, weeks, months, years, whatever, however you think about it. Like what's your vision for the future at this point?
Well, that's a fun question to think about and to ask. I would say that my answer would be I feel just wildly convicted and connected to helping busy women feel better. Like I write also a little hokey with the vision. I also write affirmations every morning. And one of the affirmations I write is connected to like I help, like this year I said I want to help 1,000 women. That's my goal for 2025. Feel better for having worked together. So I don't know if that means I'm going to help them with their health and fitness, which people still come to me for, or I'm going to help them finally write that book that they've talked about. And I'm just going to like, they're the ones writing it, but I'm the one, that's what the consistency coach in me does. It's we create a plan and then I help you execute that plan, not by doing the work, but by holding you accountable and helping you get back on track and carve out time in your schedule, et cetera. Because a lot of women are like, well, I know what I have to do. I just have to do it. And I'm like, well, yeah, how many years have you said that? How many Januaries has that been on your list? Like, let's go do that thing, right? And so I feel my best and most valuable, and I feel the most fulfilled when I'm helping women hit the goals they have. So that I don't know what those goals look like because they're different with every person. But one thing that I really enjoyed coming out of COVID was I started hosting these monthly get-togethers locally where women came and we had some wine, we had some appetizers. It was like an 8 to 10 p.m. thing on a school night, which was always hard for everybody to get to because everyone was a busy woman. And that's exactly who I wanted to talk to. But I would just throw out a topic and we would just unpack it. And I would always prepare all these great questions and I would never use any of them because as soon as women got in a room and started talking about something other than like, wow, it's still cold and yeah, I mean you're on the sidelines, you know, it's a great game and it's just like it's actual authentic conversation, which I think women need to be part of. Is just I really liked creating opportunities for women to gather and support each other and find encouragement in one another. And that's something for sure, whether it's, you know, a one-off event, the digital coaching course that I offer, I'm trying to bring in real life in person locally here in New Jersey so that women can almost like go take a course like you would go to a, you know, a community college and take a course. You'd show up on this night every other week for 6 weeks kind of thing, because I think that where I see myself spending time and where I want to create more space to spend time is again, helping busy women reprioritize themselves, have the permission to guilt-free go after the goals they have and cultivate the friendships and relationships they have outside of their house while still being present. Because I do feel like mom sets the tone for the house, right? And if mom's good, the house is good. And sometimes mom needs to step out, and it's not always getting a manicure or pedicure. Like I love getting manicures and pedicures, but if I have like a massive gap in my financial wellness, going out to get a manicure or pedicure is probably not going to make me feel much better. In fact, it might make me feel worse because I just dropped a lot of money on a pedicure thinking that would be the self-care I need. But the self-care I might need is to like really open up my credit card statements, you know, do some investigation, calling a credit card company, asking for a lower APR. Like that might be the type of self-care that someone needs at that time, right? And so I just want to live in that space and help more women do that so that they don't look back 30 years from now when their busy house is totally empty and look around and go, man, I wish I was more this, or I wish I did that. Because regret is just, I don't, that's not an emotion that I want to carry a lot. I'm sure there'll be some, but I don't want there to be much. And I want other women to feel the same way.
I feel like we could keep talking for a really long time, but we've already taken up a lot of your time. So I think we're going to take a quick break and then come back with our quick response questions.
Great.
And yeah, so we'll be right back. Hey, pod friends, it's us again. Looking for a place to collaborate, an opportunity to share your knowledge? Have you been working so hard on a podcast, book, course, product, or retreat? Do you have insights that could light up our podcast? Well, we want to hear from you. We would love to support you in all that you are and do. Join us at Go Boldly Initiative, where we celebrate diverse perspectives and share the wisdom of our incredible community. Whether you're an expert, a hobbyist, or simply love learning, we invite you to reach out with your ideas. Visit our website at goboldlyinitiative.com/podcast guests to pitch the show or shoot us an email at hello@goboldlyinitiative.com to talk all things collaboration, advertising, and affiliation opportunities. Become part of our growing family. Let's make learning an adventure together. All right, welcome back. So these quick response questions are supposed to be fun, not quite as intense as all the last questions we just asked you. They're not easy, but they're short, and we can't ask any follow-up questions.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, here we go. There's only 5.
Okay.
What is your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Laying on the couch with my family.
Okay. What's one thing on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
That live course that I just was talking about, getting that like up and running.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Donuts, for sure.
If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
Singing. I have a terrible, terrible voice. I'd like to be able to carry some tune.
And lastly, describe yourself in 3 words.
Encourager, bold, and consistent.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been delightful speaking with you and hearing about your story and all the great advice you have for our listeners out there. Can you let everyone know where they can find you if they want to connect or follow you or all the
Sure.
things?
Yeah, Coach Alicia Dupree on Instagram is probably the best kind of central place to find out what I'm doing and connect with other things. And aliciadupree.com will also share more about the live events I have and the coaching and even the comfy shirts that Tova referenced before.
Fantastic. Well, we will put that in our show notes. And any other information that you mentioned, we will be happy to share with
Great.
everyone listening. And again, it was great having you on the show. I think, your energy is so cool and lovely, and I'm excited for what you're doing and for what comes next. So
Thank you.
we're thrilled that you were here today. Tova, do you have anything else before we sign off?
I have like 50 questions, but I'm just going to find Alicia on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I know
and
this
ask them all.
conversation is not over. I know I
Yeah.
love talking with you, but I do appreciate you again giving me the opportunity to share what's worked for me, and I hope that someone listening took a little piece out of it that will help them at some point in the near future.
Absolutely.
For sure.
All right, everyone. We will be back next week with another interview talking more about how you can be the author of your own story in the future. So until next week, everyone, take care.
Thanks so much for listening to We Go Boldly podcast. We know you're busy and we love spending time with you.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, let us know. Head to Apple Podcasts right now to rate and review our show. While you're there, be sure to click that subscribe button.
Want more us time? Follow us on all the socials at Go Boldly Together.
Want even more us time? As in all the coaching pizzazz. Find us at goboldlyinitiative.com for all the info.
We will be back with more excitement, research, and deep thoughts next week.
Until then, keep on being the bold, brave, amazing people we know you already are.
The Power Moms Network, empowering moms to lift the world.